Hey, security peeps, we are live with another special edition of Breaking into Cybersecurity. I am Renee Small, Cybersecurity Super Recruiter, helping awesome leaders hire great talent. And I'm here with the phenomenal and awesome Alex Harrington of Federal Career Connections. Hi, say hi to everybody, Alex.
Hello, everyone. It's great to hear. It's great to be here on this with
Yes,
you, Renee.
it's been a few months. So we took a break over the Christmas break. I have my whole life going on, and I know Alex does too, and making sure Federal Career Connection works and continues on. And he's been doing tons of great work. So tonight we have a great topic for everyone that's here. So before I get started, two things I always say is number one, please share where you are reaching out or where you are viewing us from. If you are, wherever you're viewing us from, please let us know. Secondly, if we are, please, we're trying to grow our YouTube channel for a multitude of reasons. So please follow us on YouTube. Follow Federal Career Connections on YouTube as well. Um, and we're going to get started with Alex talking about his awesome topic. Hey, my co-host is here, Chris Foulon. He says, "Howdy, Renee Small. Howdy, Chris. Chris is never here in the evenings. He, like me, he has little ones, so he's usually pretty busy. And tonight, you may see a child or two pop up. Who knows? They're in the background." And Angela Ling is joining us from Texas. Hey, Angela
Hello,
Ling.
Angela.
Thank you so much. We'll make sure to shout people out as we continue. So one more thing before I get started. So, okay, we want everyone to know that there is going to be a huge event coming up this Friday. So not only tomorrow, so tonight we have this one. Tomorrow we have our CISO Thursdays, and we are going to have Olivia Rose, who is a blast. She's a barrel of fun. If anyone has had us on here, had been on here before, has seen her before, she's a lot of fun. So she's Olivia Rose, Chief Information Security Officer. She's amazing. She's going to be here tomorrow. And then on Friday, we're hosting this huge fundraiser. And the fundraiser is to support an organization that I truly think has been doing some amazing work with women and with girls. And it's called the Power Up Women's Conference. I've been there. They're in their 8th year, and I've been affiliated with them for about 4 or so years. And I chaired or coach. I have co-chaired and chaired the teen conference, the teen component. And what we do for the teens is we introduce them to careers. Well, I'm always going to be talking about careers in cyber. So I talk about careers in cyber. I talk about careers in STEM. But it's empowering for teen. We do teen empowerment. So the women's component is the women's empowerment. In regards to the teens, it's the teens empowerment. So some of the topics that we've had in the past, and we've had, especially when we were in person, we had I don't remember if you guys remember Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So Aunt Viv from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, she came through and she talked to the teens. That was phenomenal. We've had people giving them self-defense. So we were teaching them like, hey, if somebody comes up to you, this is how you take your cell phone. This is what you do. So self-defense courses. We've had people talk to them about human trafficking. We've had judges and wardens and things like that come in and talk about that. We've had the fun stuff. So, the fashion shows and pretty much the hair and makeup and, how to feel confident as a teen within yourself. So we've done that. And of course, we always pepper it in with some cyber and some careers in STEM. So we've had some young people who have been young people in cybersecurity, young people in STEM, and they've come and they've talked to the teens. So we're doing a huge fundraiser this Friday. We're trying to raise a ton of money. And usually the folks that we always raise money for people who, teens from disenfranchised communities. So teens who likely would not be able to come to a conference like this, like we've had some teens from Baltimore, some typically in Northern Virginia in the Ashburn or Loudoun County or Chantilly area in Northern Virginia outside of DC. We've had teens come in from Washington, DC, teens from Baltimore. So typically we try to bring in teens that are from disenfranchised communities that we sponsor them. So we want to kind of like share with them, hey, this is the teens that typically would not get access to something like this. So we're going to have a fundraiser for that. Stay tuned. I'm coming to everybody. I'm coming with my handout. I'm coming with the collection plate. Once a year, I come out with my collection plate. So I will be asking for funds for this. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. So Alex, let me shout a couple more people out, and then I'm going to let you get started. So Dave Michi is here. Hey, Dave. He's coming. He's shouting us out from Kentucky. Sharafat is in Calgary. We got people all over the place. What's the weather like? Awesome. What's the weather like in Calgary? That's pretty cool. And Kentucky. What's the weather like?
Probably cold. That was Calgary. Is that north of Montana? Correct.
I think it's somewhere in Canada for sure.
So my wife is. Just to let you know, I married my beautiful wife. She's from Canada. She's from British Columbia. So, but I've heard of Calgary as well.
Yeah, my grandmother, I used to go visit on my dad's side. She's originally from Antigua, so they're from the Caribbean, but she moved to Toronto. So I have I have cousins and an uncle in Toronto. I haven't been there in ages, but I need to go. It's an awesome city. And then Charles is here from Missouri. So definitely got a couple people checking us out. So Alex, I'm going to, from Arturo is here from El Paso. He said basically Mexico. Arturo, you're too funny. If you hear background noise, just so you know, it's 7 p.m. Eastern in Northern Virginia. My kids are like on the other side of the screen getting into stuff. So I'm going to have Alex take it away and talk about careers, all different types of careers. Jacksonville, Florida is in the house. Dave says he's cold, 30 degrees right now where he is. So I'm going to have Alex take it away and talk about careers in the military, careers and multiple different types of careers. And Alex, please share with everyone about Federal Career Connection 2, your phenomenal and amazing organization.
You got it. And let me just do this before I begin. I'm just going to grab the, and see if this will work here. I'm going to grab the URL from one of the latest blogs that's on federalcareerconnection.org. So let me see if I can post this, give it to you.
I will share it. I'll be sure to share it.
Hopefully that works. Hold on one second.
And I'll shout more people out while you're doing that. Merle's here from Jacksonville. Sterling is here from San Diego. Woohoo! Hey, Sterling. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to post this up here.
So I'll make this. I'll do just a brief kickoff, and I'll break it into two parts. One is really the kind of the kickoff for Federal Career Connection, which Federal Career Connection Incorporated is a new nonprofit, and is organized to help aspiring citizens, Americans, job seekers, to learn, to understand, and how to navigate to either public, national, military, or other federal service opportunities. And so I've been this year, and really, it's Federal Career Connection is growing into, hopefully it will be a good, reliable resource. Hopefully we'll have two major, I would say, initiatives completed by end of this year. A rebooted website, along with a handbook, and that will complement each other when it comes to providing awareness and resources and this information, kind of that first level information of the many opportunities within public, national, military, and other service organization. for me is kind of learning as well as I'm doing my research to understand what opportunities are out there for service. But I'll begin with this. I think right now we are definitely, and I'll take this from a personal to a macro level. Service, I know for me, service has really helped me grow in ways that, where I come from a small town in Ohio, a population of about 6,000 people, and I was, for me, uh, my first service was military in the Marine Corps. It was actually, I joined on a dare of all things. But in that during that time, got to experience some things that I'll never forget. That stays with me to this day in my my midlife at this time. And currently, as I'm a civil servant within the federal government, working for a federal law enforcement group, service for me has become kind of a banner of responsibility and civic duty. And so for me, it's always every day I think about what I do each day. How does it have impact for those around me? Not just the services or the protection we provide to people. For example, the individual from El Paso, we have obviously field operators there, border patrol there. So we do the folks on the frontline personnel from border patrol, from air and marine through field operations. They just do an amazing job protecting the border to facilitating trade and travel. So have kind of a connection to that in a support position for me has really, it gives me still this old Marine vet a chance to serve. So for me personally, as each year as I continue to, I guess, develop and grow, service for me has really become a kind of an obligation, especially not only in my position but also in my community and those who I volunteer with. At the macro level, I think service. I think of all the we have roughly I don't know 360 million, give or take, million individuals in our country, and of that 360 million, we have roughly about 7% who actually serve, either in public or national or military. Very low percentage. And it's really, and there's so many individuals out there who are doing, just, layman's work. They're in their communities, they're volunteering at churches, volunteering at food banks, what you do with your organizations. There's so many actually are doing amazing things, but we definitely could use more people because there are definitely benefits of service, not only helping other individuals, but also to be able to connect with other individuals, diverse individuals. When you're with people who have a one mission, one mindset of helping other individuals, your respective, your differences, they don't really matter because all you're focused on one mission. And it's one of the things I love about the Marine Corps. They taught in the Marine Corps, you're only one Marine. There's no Asian Marine, African American Marine. It's just one Marine, and so I've always, that kind of was kicked into me. And it's something that I always, carry with me. So when you're focused on one mission, one challenge, one situation as a group, you're bonded, you're with like-minded individuals. So there are so many benefits of service. So with service in this year, what we're doing is, as part of the volunteers, along with Chris Westbrook and James Still and other people, as they're focusing on still providing really top-notch webinars when it comes to federal jobs under public service. My focus this year will be actually writing a book on the various ways that you can serve. And for me, as I started my research, I actually began with a report that was that was really, this report goes back to the National Defense Authorization Act in 2017, when then John McCain basically said to Congress, there's some challenges when it comes to either recruitment in our military, or when it comes to AmeriCorps. We only have roughly about 80,000 people a year participating in AmeriCorps services, or in federal government. We have a bulk of individuals who are about to retire. And so there's some, I would say, some attrition issues across those three service platforms that I believe John McCain was worried about. And that's onto this Authorization Act to form this commission and to review and to study the service environments and how we can be better in actually recruiting and building awareness and recruiting and helping people become more civic minded through civic education and also service learning. So this year is going to be a special year for me. And I think in a lot of ways, this might be a capstone to a lot of the work that I've been doing when it comes to, being with Federal Career Connection all the way back to 2012 and seeing it become a nonprofit just last year. This book, along with the website, will hopefully be a good resource for those who are aspiring to either enter public service, i.e. federal jobs, state, local, tribal, those who maybe are thinking about national service, for example, AmeriCorps or Peace Corps, and also military service, which I'm a big proponent on. Really, in a lot of ways, a big proponent for mandatory service, where I think any young man or woman who is eligible by age and by physical attributes, they should consider military service. And military service doesn't just have to be active duty. There's 13 opportunities within military service, from active duty to National Guard to the reserves. So you don't have to commit full time to wear that uniform. And then the other federal services, there's so much out there. There's probably there's individuals out there right now who didn't realize we have a Merchant Marine Academy, and we have a Public Health Corps, and many other ways you can serve your country when it comes to service. So the link that I sent you is kind of just a top level links to all the breakdown of the different service opportunities within the federal ecosystem. And then, of course, we'll talk about basically when it comes to some of the mechanics of looking and, kind of that push of going after that respective service area. But hopefully this is a quick introduction to hopefully what Federal Career Connection Incorporated will be pushing out by the end of this year to help those aspiring individuals to perform their civic responsibility and their service, and really their civic and really service responsibilities in any area that they feel called into. So I'm looking forward.
Alex, that's such a great introduction. I actually have a couple of questions. Before I jump into the questions, folks, everyone, federalcareerconnection.org. If you go to this link, discover your calling in public, national, or military service, pretty much is the research or what this topic is based on, what this talk tonight is based on. So please check it out. Jamal is shouting us out from Dallas, so another Texas person in the house here. And you know what I want to know, Alex? So I have so many questions. One, I was just surprised at the level of the amount of service agencies that you don't have to do full time, because you would think, I'm 18, 20, 21, 24, whatever it is, and I want to go into the service and it's a full-time thing, right? So I enlist and I'm in. Versus someone who potentially has a career or whatever and doesn't necessarily want to step away full time from their career, and they want to do this, or has a family, whatever it is, and wants to do this. So I'm curious about some of the orgs, if you have the opportunity to break down or share with us some of the ones, because I believe a lot of the folks here are already kind of like mid-career in their careers. And two, if you happen to know this, I don't know if you know or not, what the age range, because I know there's different cutoffs and things. So if somebody's 45, can they, can they jump in? I'm with you. I 100%. I agree that I think it would be great if all of our young people did a stint in the military, like just got that baseline for X amount of years, almost like how it's done in Israel and some of these other countries where, you graduate, this is what you do this for a moment, for a point in time, and then you move on from there. So, but I'm very, very curious about age limits and the areas that are open to people who do not have or who cannot go into the military full time.
So when it comes to
and Jamal says early 40 cough.
So when
Jamal, me and you both, and I'm not early, I'm mid.
Well, I've known some individuals. There are special areas in the military that you can be above. The average cutoff is 39, and also, but there are special fields that they do provide, age waivers. The chaplaincy or the chaplain corps, professional careers such as lawyers or doctors, nurses. Those things that you would have to do your individual research. I know cybersecurity, hence, in this environment here, cybersecurity is a big issue and a big need within the federal government. A lot of agencies, my agency, Department of Homeland Security, they have special hiring authorities for for cybersecurity, intern programs for cybersecurity, because it's such a big need right now. Last week I get a call, and I almost got tripped with it. My wife almost got tripped with this a little bit. We got a call from you. I'm being a veteran. I'm with USAA. It's a military bank, and we get a call from USAA regarding that we had a couple thousand. Somebody spent a couple $1,000s on Amazon, and the individual asked me, did you authorize this charge? I said I did not. So he started asking me questions. Well, I've been with USAA for a long time, and since the 1990s, when I first joined them, when I was working for the VFW Washington office in DC. Well, I detected in their customer service, it wasn't typical customer service as a USAA representative. So I started questioning them. So I asked them, before we continue this conversation, please tell me what rank I left the Marine Corps, because the USA knows. Well, the individual couldn't tell me. And so I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll call them on Monday. I hung up, and I contacted the fraud department through USA, and I reached somebody, and they said, yes, unfortunately, there are scammers out there using mask numbers now, and they've taken a few of our USA members. Luckily, I knew the MO, the customer service, kind of the tone, the demeanor. I knew their MO. This individual didn't have it. So we need you guys. We need you guys in the fight, either in federal service or government service, either in private sector, military service. But to get to Renee's question, there are, for those individuals who are qualified, I would encourage you to look into it. I know for me, it really depends. In the blog, the link I sent has 13 links to, for example, you have DOD, like the Marine Corps, the Navy, you have Homeland Security, the Coast Guard, and obviously the Reserves and National Guard. So there are many opportunities you can look into. And in my research, I was researching on reasons why a lot of young people do not join the military. Some say, well, they're going off to college, but in the top three was, I just don't want to die, and I get that. I understand that. That's something that's, when it comes to the military, you have to take that consideration. But I wouldn't let that alone deter you. I mean, for me, I didn't want to go into the sandbox myself. The first time around, I was with a Marine. I was with 7th Marine Expeditionary Brigade in 29 Palms. We were the first ones in the Persian Gulf. The first time around, we were there. We're there within the week. I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to be there. However, to be able to serve along these amazing individuals, to be part of something bigger than you, sometimes when you put the death aside, it's something that no one can never take away from you. But I do understand the fear of death or leaving home from family. I totally understand that. But there's more that military service can do for you than the fear side. For me, the military took this misfit from Bellevue, Ohio, who was kicked out his senior year in high school for fighting every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and they straightened him out. And now I'm a senior manager within the federal government, working with amazing individuals, doing some really cool stuff, and building a nonprofit on the side. And I think all of that, I think the Marine Corps is a part of that, of how much they made me and changed my life. So military service is such an adventure, and it's also a struggle, but everything is a struggle in life. But there are many opportunities. Again, the average age cutoff is 39, but there are special waivers, I believe, for special career fields within the military. Or if you don't want to put on the uniform, there are many civilian occupations within Department of Defense that you can look into, both here in the United States and both outside the United States. And I would say for me, my government time as a civilian was in 3 countries. Starting off, and I would say, for those individuals who want to maybe, expand their network or expand their reach and maybe look at the entire world, I say go for it, because I was able to do it myself. So there are many opportunities within with DoD, Department of Defense, as a civilian working in the military. And if you're at the age where you're like, you know what, I'm just too old, but I would love to put on the uniform. There are some positions in the military as a civilian that you would have to wear a uniform as an emergency essential. When I was in South Korea, I was considered emergency essential. So if North Korea went into South Korea, I was basically said you would have to stay, and they give you a uniform. So even if you want to have a little of that excitement, but as a civilian, there are opportunities into Department of Defense, and also there are many opportunities within their agencies out there, accepted agencies, and also you can look into, such as CIA, also DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, USAID, as a foreign service officer. So there's so many opportunities you can look into, but the question is, how do you navigate through those opportunities? Well, Federal Career Connection, along with other great resources out there. But with our blog, Federal Career Connection, we do try to pull in a lot of different links for you to actually start reading and learning on. So hopefully, when it comes to building that awareness of where you can serve, either in uniform or not in uniform, but within an organization, within the agency that touches national security, there are definitely opportunities there, because based off the numbers, based off retirements, more people will be leaving the federal government. And I will say some people have left the federal government because of what's going on today with the vaccine. So there are opportunities even now coming about because people would decide to leave because they don't want that vaccine. So for those who want to go into federal service or military service or even public service, there are opportunities. But the next part of this conversation, in our last few moments, I'll kind of talk about how to do that. But I want to take a pause here and throw it back to Renee.
Awesome. So Alex and audience, the link is here, federalcareerconnection.org. I will also tag it in the LinkedIn and in the chat so you all know how to connect with Federal Career Connection. So not only does Alex come here once a month, Federal Career Connection, which is the organization that he started, has a monthly webinar focused on all types of federal, military, various types of careers that are civil servant, government focused, all of that. So please check him out. Follow Alex, connect with him, go to Federal Career Connection. We've had tons of great opportunities that have come out of this. We've had Bibi Hadid, that's her last name, right?
Yes.
Who watched one of these shows a few months ago, and then very shortly thereafter connected with the folks at Federal Career Connection, and now she is a part of the organization. Like, she was able to join. So definitely check it out. That's number one. Number two, like I said, the blog, Discover Your Calling in Public and National or Military Service. The blog is there. The link is there. Check that out, federalcareerconnection.org. Number three, I'm a salesperson this week. I'm a fundraiser. I'm going to be talking about this from now until March. I am hosting, I'll put it up in a second, the teen edition of the Power Up Women's Conference. We do it once a year. The conference is in its 8th year. I've been participating in the conference for about 4 years. I have a blast working with the teens. This year, we're raising funds for teen STEM kits. We always bring in, I always infuse cyber in there and STEM. It's an amazing conference. If you have women in your life, the Power Up Women's Conference, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Buy a ticket. It's virtual. It's amazing. And then for the teens, we are raising funds for the teens so that they can get STEM kits, because we want to provide scholarships for teenagers that typically would not have an opportunity to come to a conference like this. So you'll hear me say that a few times, and put something in the chat in regards to that. Now, there are a couple of questions here or comments. David, so Cherie Darnice Burrell is from Burrell Worldwide in Beverly Hills. So someone joined us from Beverly Hills, which is awesome. Dave Michi wants to share a good website to help folks on their cyber career path called cybernights.us. So if folks want to free resources, check that out. Brooklyn 29 says, I am trying to go to the Navy Reserves, which is pretty cool. Jamal says, I'm a mid-reserve career military trying to go to warrant, but not working on the civilian side. Using those military benefits that civilians don't get has been a blessing, though. So, he put it out there what he's doing. And then Arturo said, what is the path, more or less, if I decided to join the military and end up in their cybersecurity field? So, Alex, do you know?
So that's definitely a good question. So the first off is, number one, it depends what branch you're looking at. I know that when I think of cyber, I think of either Department of the Army and also Department of the Navy. And so I would definitely talk to their respective recruiters and find out what career paths are actually tied to cybersecurity, because I know they do have them. And what's really amazing about that is that if you're able to enter into military service and gain that experience in cybersecurity or in a related IT field, that definitely can be crosswalked and back into the private sector. There's legislation out there now trying to help veterans or military, those who gain amazing experience within the military, to be able to actually take those credentials and crosswalk them back into the civilian sector. DoD is also trying to help individuals transition back to the civilian sector through programs such as the Dod Skill Bridge, where they allow active duty members who have roughly about 180 days. And I think this, keep in mind, I think this is in the DC metro area and maybe in some other areas. It's called Dod Skill Bridge, but they do allow current active duty members who have about like 180 days left to actually kind of do a co-op within a civilian environment, either a government or private sector, nonprofit. So Congress and DoD are realizing just the benefits of what the military provides when it comes to just the training and experience to their to service members. So talk to that recruiter and see what opportunities they have, and go from there. Because again, I know that cybersecurity is definitely a growing field, especially in today what's going on. So definitely my best for you, my best.
Absolutely. And we know specifically in your organization, Department of Homeland Security, how much the cyber skill set is so very needed in this space. So Brooklyn 29 says, great organization. And I believe it's when we're talking about Federal Career Connection. So, which is cool. Ernest says, I'm trying to join the Navy. So
good for you.
Yeah, join. Don't try.
Good for you. Well, I do know this in defense. I know sometimes there's some hoops.
Gotcha.
Go through. I think one of the best examples that I think, if you want to fill, if you're Ernest, if you want to get some motivation going, there's a great book out there by David Goggins. Last name is Goggins. He actually went into the Navy, but it was an amazing story. It's a book. I believe the title is called "You Can't Hurt," but it's by Goggins. Its last name is Goggins. But he was a individual who is overweight and over 300 pounds. He wanted to join the Navy. He went to a recruiter, and the recruiter said, "Hey, there's no way." In 2 months, he lost all that weight to get in, to be eligible to go into the Navy. So if you want to get inspired and get kicked in the butt through I call it bibliotherapy, get David Goggins' book, and there'll be no excuses for you from that point on.
It's so funny. Every guy I know, and I don't know if I know a lot of just guys, they're all huge fans of Goggins, and what's the other one? It's Goggins and Jocko. All I hear about is Goggins, David Goggins, and Jocko. Like, get after it.
Yeah.
So totally understand that. Ernest is laughing at me because he's probably a fan too. Everyone's a fan of these guys. Okay, so Jamal was saying possibly Space Force could be another arena for folks to get into. Ernest is into IT as well. He's into IT too. So that is another area, place where we could go. Ernest says, thanks so much. You're welcome, Ernest. And then again, I just want to shout out the Power Up Women's Conference. So if you have women in your lives that need empowerment, it's like a female version of Goggins. There's this late. So I'm going to shout out a couple people or I guess one person right now, because she really, it really blends with this particular live stream tonight. Her name is Christy Rutherford. She is absolutely amazing. And she is also military. She was in the Coast Guard. I can't remember what rank she left at, but it's a really, really high rank. And I call her the female Goggins. Like, she whips you into shape. She's amazing. And she is going to be one of the speakers at this conference. So she's been a guest on here a few times. She's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, she comes, she is motivational. She's like a preacher. And then she also tells you, she tells you the truth. Like, hey, this is what it is. This is what you need to do to get it together. So if you have women in your life, definitely, absolutely, Power Up Women's Conference, go there, buy a ticket, gift somebody a ticket, and definitely sponsor a couple of teams. I'm not even going to say sponsor one. You got to sponsor a couple of teams for the conference. So Ernest says, Renee, you are the best. So Alex, I want you to continue on. I mean, there's so many pieces to this puzzle of folks trying to break into the federal government. And I think, you touched on a couple of topics that I'm seeing too. So as a person who recruits in security in this space, and technology as a whole, I am seeing people who are like, you know what, I don't want the vaccine. I'm looking for companies that either don't have it, or, you know, I'm seeing this great resignation happening, and people looking for various opportunities. And as I heard you talk about that, and people resigning and saying, you know, like either going into early retirement or resignation or whatever, and folks, there's just such a huge opportunity. And I feel like with the federal government, the folks that don't know, or just service as a whole, those of us who have been on the commercial side, we don't necessarily know, you know, what to do, how to break in, all that stuff. That's why I keep telling people go to Federal Career Connection, because you all show people how to do that. We don't necessarily know how to do that, but I think there's just this huge opportunity, because I feel like more so than the corporate side or the commercial side, the federal side is more open to people who are have less experience, have the education and the credentials, but don't have the experience. Where I feel like the folks on the commercial side are more so into experience. Like they'll take somebody that has, like, you know, they'll say, okay, we need a cert, but they're really, really heavy on the experience side. Whereas on the federal side, it's a little bit less about that as much. It's not as much focus on actual experience skills. It's like, hey, if you have the education, you have a degree, or you have X certifications, or what have you, you have these transferable skills, we will give you a shot. So, Alex, can you talk to that and just, you know, give more details, since you've been in this space for such a long time?
Well, I would say, and I'm going to respectfully disagree a bit.
Oh, okay.
There are some positions, you're right.
Keep me honest.
One thing I love about the federal government, I mean, the average age is 41. Education level, we have a higher ratio of those with degrees compared to the private sector. We're veteran population. I know we're in the 30% range, and more than 30%, I believe. And so the federal government is definitely changing. It still has what's unique about the federal government that I do not believe that the private sector has, however, and this is based off facts, is the age demographic. The federal government has still currently has the 5 generations, distinct generations, from the premillennials all the way through the traditionalists, those who are like in their 70s and older. And those in that age group, the latter, definitely a small percentage to the 2.1, 2.2 million federal employees, but they're still working in the federal government. So the one thing I will say about the federal government that does a better job at compared to the private sector is they don't force you to retire in most positions. Now, there are positions that there are mandatory retirement ages, such as law enforcement, obviously. But there are many positions that you can work until you're 101 years old. The one thing I love about the Peace Corps, which if my health allows me to, you know, at the Peace Corps is there's no age requirement. So you can be in your 80s and apply to be a Peace Corps volunteer. So the one thing I do appreciate about the government, it has all the distinct generations right now in its workforce of roughly about 2.1 million people. That's excluding postal, excluding the military. The other thing about and also I mentioned about the education, higher ratio compared to the private sector. The other thing is about the federal government, it does give you so much opportunities to train, to learn, to allow you to develop your skill sets, your credentials. It definitely is focused in individual into individual development. Okay. On the application side, for those who are trying to navigate into the federal government, either be it public service or national service or military service, obviously it depends what area you're trying to get into, depends what education or experience that you need. For those who want to maybe go into the the JAG Corps in the military to be a lawyer. Obviously, you have to have a law degree, so you have to have that education requirement. For those who maybe want to go in and enlist, you do not have to have a college degree to enlist in the military. Public service for federal jobs. For those who are trying to become a senior executive service. The senior executive service was actually formed in 1978. They're really the organization's, the vice presidents of the organization, the senior executives. It's very good if you have a professional degree, or you have a business degree, or public administration degree, because you have to, you're running an organization compared to someone if you want to break in as a journeyman, or if you want to be for example, a border patrol agent. You don't have to have you don't need a college degree to be a border patrol agent under Customs and Border Protection. So it really depends, Renee, on what positions you're going after, what career fields you want to get into. Depends on how much experience or academics that you need. Obviously, for me, one area that I'm vying at, I'm not too sure if I'll be able to break into it before I retire from the government, is their education arena. Most people in the education field within the government has to have some type of teaching degree, especially being teachers in Dod's programs overseas. So it really depends on the career field you want to get into. So the question that you ask yourself is, well, how do I learn about that? And so for individuals, number one, who are aspiring to go into public or national military or other service organizations, you can check out the blog that Renee just posted. And within our blog, when I write a blog, I try to pull in other sources, because we're not selling anything. We're just a nonprofit, volunteer run. We have no agenda. We're just trying to help people navigate into their respective area of service. And so we do provide links from other organizations, such as the Partnership for Public Service, Open Government, .gov sites, education sites, and sometimes some .com sites like Kath and Troutman, or other resources out there. So we try to at least put together kind of an eclectic of resources in our blog, so you can actually start learning about how to enhance your individual marketability and navigate to one of those service areas. And one last thing is, when it comes to the federal government or academia or nonprofit or private sector, the one thing about looking for a government job compared to the private sector or the academia or whatever, you still use the same process in job searching. You have to, number one, understand the skill sets you have to offer to that respective organization. You have to know thyself. Number two, you have to assess the industry. You got to learn about the organizations that you want to navigate to. I'm not going to ask for answers, but do you know how many departments are under the executive branch within the federal government? Do you know? Do you know the basic the basic construct of the Constitution? Things like that, to understand. Or do you know about the three branches of the federal government? Do you know what type of opportunities each one affords? So as you learn about your skill sets, and you put them in a very and you kind of you put together a list of your strongest skill sets and your credentials and your experiences, and you assess the career field that you're trying to break into, then it's easier to be able to actually kind of target those areas, those career fields that you're trying to actually break into. It's just really knowing thyself, knowing the environment, or knowing the organizations you're trying to break into. It does assist with the navigation side. So hopefully that helps out.
Yeah, I think it does. And I don't think we disagree. I think we agree. I'm waiting for the disagreement part, but I agree. I think the only part may have been me saying like the experience is not as needed, but obviously in some or certain areas you have to have experience. But I just feel like there's more, I feel like there's more opportunity, honestly, for folks that have a degree, have the certifications. Like, you know, you have that, and you may not necessarily have the years and years as some of these other orgs are looking for, but you have a degree, you have certification, so you do have something, not coming in with zero, but having some credentials, that there is an opportunity there for you. And I was sitting here writing, trying to take a couple of notes to post up about knowing thyself, knowing the industry, knowing the organization, which I'll post in a second. But Ernest says here, I have a degree in administration/management and a master's in IT DBA. I'm a Salesforce certified administrator. So there's opportunity for you, Ernest.
So you're doing everything you can to, number one, you have to build up their credentials to raise your individual marketability, Ernest, and that's great. The one thing I want to touch on, and Renee, and we'll finish it. We'll actually end this last segment with this. You touched on it in today's workforce, Ernest, and everybody else, and Renee, you know this. I know, and I'm learning how to navigate in this new environment. The workforce is changing. This is definitely COVID. This pandemic, and it's been this last 2 years, has shaken up America's workforce in a way that we just beyond our comprehension before all this happened. For example, you know, giving people the opportunity to realize they can work remotely, giving other people, empowering other individuals, such as our frontline waiters and stewardess and cashiers. They've been realizing they need better pay, especially dealing with, and hopefully none of you are like this, dealing with really customers, very mean customers nowadays. So they realize they were in the front line of this pandemic the whole time, and now they're starting to actually kind of rise up, which they should, and say, we want better pay, we want better benefits. So this pandemic has shaken America's workforce. It's up to you and me to understand where you fit within that workforce and how you actually mitigate, how you engage it. For me, I realize that when it comes to, I've been working remotely for 2 years now. Oh my goodness. I realized during that time that, number one, I can work from remote, but I realized also I miss the social environment within an office environment. But in remote work, I formed new principles of my work ethics, such as when I'm working with other people, you're using the webcam, no excuses. If you're not a webcammer, become a webcammer. So as a credential career coach, when you're doing the interviews, you got to make sure your game is on. You got to make sure you have the proper lighting. You have to make sure you have the proper backing. You got to make sure you're on, because this new workforce, this new environment is changing. So even if you get to actually enjoy or experience the working virtually, my philosophy is this: you're working virtually, but no one knows you're working virtually because you're engaged, you're on. So that's number one I'll give you. Make sure you're on in this new virtual environment. And you guys from the IT side, you probably realize that. Number two is that when it comes to your navigation on how you're marketing yourself, because careers are being reshuffled, and just the way you're marketing yourself has changed. Learn the new standards of individual marketability. It's no longer about your job title. It's more about your professional brand and your core competencies. Okay. And it's more about also working with teams and also collaborating with teams both on site and remotely. And what I'm trying to say is to you IT folks is that when it comes to how you're raising your individual marketability, it's not just having those credentials on the IT side. It's also acquiring and showcasing your soft skills, able to actually lead others, able to build, able to resolve conflicts at work, to deal with difficult challenges, to be able to lead others. Those soft skills are also going to become your bread and butter, juxtaposed to your technical skill sets. So the way the workforce is changing, and it hasn't settled yet, I don't think no one knows. Even I don't know. We have to wait and see, but just do your best to kind of ride that wave, adjust, be flexible, able to adapt, and always, and this is, I think, is what helped me, when it comes to how I navigated through the federal government in my sixth department, and and where I'm back. This is the third time back at the same organization. The one thing I think what really helps me, this misfit from Bellevue, Ohio, is I realize I'm not all that. So I always try to build people up around me. And I'm always trying to be of value to those around me. And I think that's why I've been asked to come back a third time in my current organization. Because in today's workforce, people around you are not the means. They are actually the end. They're the reason you're there. It's for them. And so do your best to be of value to all those around you, not just your boss, but your peers and those under you. And always try to build up those around you, because when you're building up other people, you're kind of building yourself up at the same time. So I'll leave it with that.
Alex, excellent points. Always excellent points that you put out there on so many different levels. Some of the points about being, if you're not a Zoom or if you're not a camera person, be a camera person. Just the changes during this pandemic, the great resignation that it's so funny about a year ago. I believe it started about a year ago. And I remember saying this to some peers, and some people that weren't peers, oh, the great resignation. And they were like, I don't believe that. I was like, it's coming. When it made its round, when it gets to my mom, I know it has hit the complete mainstream. Oh, people are just walking off of jobs. That's what she said to me. People are just walking off of jobs. I thought it was hilarious. But all of the various changes that have happened during COVID, which has just completely changed how we view work, how people, what people, like you said, what they will put up with, what they realize, all these various different pieces to the puzzle. And I think everything you said it so eloquently. I'm not even going to go over it again. Thanks so much, Alex. That's what Ernest says, because we're coming up to the top of the hour. One other comment I'm going to post and read before we leave. David Mishi says, I'm looking for a DoD civilian cybersecurity position. I have a master's in information systems and security plus and 2 years of IT experience. Looking forward to checking your website out. Thank you, Alex, Harrington, and Renee, for sharing your professional experience. So, David, you're welcome. Definitely check out Federal Career Connection. That is the go-to place when it comes to navigating federal careers. So,
and I will say this, and you can, guys out there in the blog, it's a fairly new blog site, but there are 2 blogs on cybersecurity careers. This in the search box in the blog link. Just type in cyber, you'll get them, and it'll provide just a buffet of links that will take you more than a month or so to read through it. So go at it, have fun with it, and increase your awareness so you can better navigate.
Absolutely. So, folks, it is the top of the hour, 8 p.m. on the East Coast here. So I am going to wrap up right now. Thank you again, Alex. We do this the last Wednesday of every month. So anyone who wants to connect and be here last Wednesday of every month, that's what we do. Federal Career Connection. Alex has come on. Julie Broadway has come on. We have so many people from Federal Career Connection come on here and give amazing talks. Every single time I learn something new, because I have shared a zillion times that the federal career space and the military space, all of that, as much as I am adjacent to it and love the folks in it, I don't have that personal experience as much. So when Alex and his team come on and they talk about, breaking into the federal government, breaking into, all these different career opportunities. I mean, who knew that you at 39 and a half or 40 something that you could potentially go into these lines of service? I had no idea. So with all of that said, please check out Federal Career Connection. I am going to share the link again. It will be on the website. I'm going to put it up. I'm going to share the blog right now. I'm going to leave that up. Check that out. Follow Alex. Follow Federal Career Connection. They have something going on once a month, right, Alex?
Once a month, yes.
Once a month, and then Alex or one of his team members comes here once a month as well. So twice a month, this audience could have access to the folks at Federal Career Connection. So please, please, please do that. Again, Power Up Women's Conference. I will be coming after all of you. As David Goggins says, get after it. I will be getting after you to donate and participate in part of the fundraiser this coming Friday. So look for that. It's posted up on my LinkedIn starting at 9 a.m. I think we might even start a little earlier, maybe 8:45. And it's New Year, New Career. We're going to be helping you with resumes, job hunting. We're going to have people talking about how to manage your time, how to communicate like an executive, how to job hunt like a hacker. I mean, all these awesome topics. Please, please, please show up. It's all free as all of our stuff is. But this time we are requesting and asking for donations to help support this teen con that I love to pieces. So Alex, I don't want to keep you any longer. Thank you everyone for being here. Always a fun audience. And we will see you tomorrow on CISO Thursdays. Bye everybody.